I'm 87 years old, clears throat. For 4 decades, I clocked 60 hours a week. I was the first one in and the last one out. I climbed the ladder until there were no more rungs left. My reward? A gold watch that ticks too loud in a house that's too quiet. Music starts. Low, melancholic piano. They tell you that hard work is the ultimate virtue. Your mentors, the magazines, the motivational speakers, they all preach the gospel of the grind, but they won't tell you what I'm about to. Why? Because the truth doesn't sell productivity software. The truth admits defeat. Pause. I'm sitting here in a leather chair that cost more than my first car, surrounded by silence. My hands, look at them. They are steady enough to sign $1 million contract, but too late to hold the small hands that once reached for me. You think you're sacrificing for your family? You tell your wife you're doing it for us, while you miss another dinner, another chance to actually know her soul. Pause. That's not sacrifice, that's an escape. It's easier to win at the office than it is to be present at home. Don't turn this off, not yet. I need you to hear the sound of the ghost that haunts this house. Stay with me, because I'm going to tell you the one thing I would give every cent of my fortune to go back and change. And if you're between 40 and 60 right now, you're standing right where the path splits. Don't take my road. Go back with me to 1974. I was 35 in the prime of my climb. I can still smell it. The mix of stale coffee, expensive tobacco, and the ozone from the Xerox machine. I thought I was a king building an empire. I thought every hour I spent away from home was a brick in a fortress that would protect my family forever. I remember one Tuesday. It's burned into my mind like a brand. I just closed a deal that would put us in a bigger house, a better neighborhood. I stayed late to celebrate with the partners. Scotch, laughter, the feeling of being somebody. I drove home at 11 p.m., the hum of my luxury sedan the only sound on the street. I walked in and the house was silent. My wife, Martha, she'd left a plate in the oven. It was dried out, unappetizing. Beside it was a note. It didn't say, "I hate you." It didn't say, "Where were you?" It just said, "Daniel drew a picture of you today. He waited until 9. It's on the fridge." I walked to the fridge. It was a stick figure, a big man with a briefcase standing far away from a small house. There were no faces, just shapes. I felt a pang, sure, but then I looked at my paycheck on the counter and the ego took over. "He'll thank me when he's at Yale," I whispered to the empty kitchen. That was the pattern. Decades of just one more hour, just one more promotion. I missed the smell of my daughter's hair before she grew up and started smelling like cheap perfume and rebellion. I miss the way Martha used to look at me with hope before that look turned into a polite, cold habit. I thought I was providing, but I was just buying their silence so I could keep chasing my own reflection in the glass of those office buildings. I was successful, God help me. I was so successful. And every dollar I earned was a second I stole from the only people who actually knew my middle name. I traded the now for a later that never arrived the way I imagined. By the time I had the time, they didn't have the need for me anymore. Now look at me. I'm 87. The office is gone. The titles are gone. The importance I felt when my secretary scheduled my lunch meetings, it's all vanished like smoke. I live in a house with 5 bedrooms. 4 of them are perfectly clean, perfectly decorated, and perfectly empty. I sit here and I wait. I wait for the buzz of that damn smartphone. Sighs. My son, Daniel, the one who drew the picture, he's 50 now. He's a successful lawyer. He's just like me. He works 60 hours a week too. When he calls, it's always, "Hey Dad, just checking in. Can't talk long, got a deposition in 10 minutes. He's providing for my grandkids. Grandkids who visit me twice a year and look at me like I'm a museum exhibit. They're polite. They say, "Yes, Grandpa," but they don't have stories with me. They have stories with their mothers, their friends, their coaches. I'm just the man in the big house who sends the expensive checks on birthdays. The silence in this house is heavy. It's not the peaceful silence of a life well lived. It's the silence of an empty stadium after the fans have gone home and the lights are dimmed. I have the best health care money can buy. I have a gardener who keeps the lawn perfect. But I'd trade the lawn, the house, and the millions for one Tuesday night in 1974. I'd go back and I'd sit on that floor with Daniel. I'd ignore the phone. I'd let the deal fall through. I'd look at Martha and tell her she's beautiful, and I'd actually stay to hear her answer. Pause. But I can't. The later I was working for is here, and it's cold. You see, the world tricks you. It tells you that your value is your output. But when your output stops, and it will stop, what's left? If you haven't built a home in the hearts of the people you love, you'll find yourself a stranger in your own life. I won. I won the game of success. And my prize is sitting in this leather chair, listening to the hum of a refrigerator, wondering who my children really are. Don't win the game I played. It's a rigged game. The house always wins, and you're the house that's left empty. Let's talk about that word, provider. Spits the word out slightly. We use it like a shield, don't we? We wear our 60-hour work weeks like a badge of honor, telling our wives and kids, "I'm doing this for you." But let's be honest for a second. Between us men, most of the time, that's a lie. A comfortable, profitable lie. We stay late at the office because at the office, we're the boss. We're the man. People listen to us. Problems have logical solutions. It's clean. It's organized. It feeds our ego until it's fat and happy. But home? Home is messy. Home is where your wife wants to talk about her fears, and your kids want your undivided attention. Home is where you aren't the CEO. You're just a man who might be failing at the things that actually matter. So we run. We run back to the spreadsheets. We run back to the meetings. We hide in our success. Listen to me. Working yourself to death isn't a sacrifice if you're doing it to avoid being present. It's cowardice, wrapped in a suit. You think you're buying them a future? You're just paying them to get used to your absence. And one day, they will. They will learn to live without you while you're still sitting at the head of the table. Time is the only currency you can't earn back. I have millions in the bank, and I can't buy back a single Saturday morning from 1985. I can't buy the "I love you, Daddy" that was meant for a younger version of me, a version that was too busy checking the stock market to hear it. Your kids don't want your legacy later. They want your presence now. Your wife doesn't want a bigger diamond. She wants the man she married to actually look into her eyes and stay there for more than 5 minutes. You're trading gold for dirt and calling it a career. Stop lying to yourself. You aren't providing a life if you aren't there to live it with them. You're just financing your own replacement in their hearts. You're probably sitting there thinking, "It's too late for me. I've already spent 20 years in the salt mines." Shakes head slowly. Listen to an old man who has nothing left to lose. It is only too late when the dirt hits the lid of your casket. Until then, you have a choice. First, I want you to start a new ritual. I call it the car ghost. When you pull into your driveway tonight, don't go inside. Stay in the car for 5 minutes. Leave your phone in the glove box. Leave the deals, the emails, and the importance of your job in that seat. Kill the ghost of the CEO before you walk through that front door. When you walk in, look at your wife, not at her, but into her. Ask her a question that has nothing to do with the kids or the mortgage. Ask her what she's dreaming about lately. And then, this is the hard part, shut up and listen for 20 minutes, even if it's boring, especially if it's boring. That boredom is the fabric of a real life. And your kids? Stop buying them things to apologize for your absence. A PlayStation is a bribe. A Saturday afternoon playing catch in the mud is an investment. They won't remember the brand of the car you drove, but they will never forget the way you looked at them when they failed and you told them it was okay. My second advice, admit you were wrong. Go to your grown children or your wife tonight and say, I focused on the wrong bank account. I'm sorry. It's the hardest sentence a man can speak. It kills the ego, but it's the only key that unlocks the door back into their hearts. I'm 87. My legacy isn't the buildings with my name on the plaques. Those will be torn down. My legacy is the silence in this house, or the laughter I could have had. I chose the silence. You can still choose the laughter. Don't wait until you're 87 to realize that the most important work you will ever do is within the four walls of your own home. Go home. Be there. Not just in body, but in soul. Music swells and then cuts to silence. The clock is ticking. Make it count.